Express in terms of x and y in simplest terms, HM, where M is the midpoint of EF. And so what they're telling us is that they're telling us that M, so M is not drawn on this diagram, but let's draw M. So M is the midpoint of EF. So that means that M is going to be in the middle, all right? So this right here is EF, right? So M is going to be this middle, the point in the middle, right? And so if this is M, right? So let's suppose that M is here, right? So M is going to be somewhere in the, M is going to be exactly in the middle. And so that means that, okay, well, if M is in the middle, then what does that mean but EM, right? Well, EM is going, it has to be half, right? It has to be half of what? Half of the entire line, EF, right? So that means that EM must be half of EF, right? That makes sense. EM must be half of EF, okay? What does that tell you about MF, right? Well, since M is the midpoint, right? That means that MF must be also half of the entire line. So half of EF, okay? And so let's just keep that in mind. Since M is the midpoint, right? Since M is the point in the middle, that means that if we're trying to figure what EM is, that's going to be half of the entire line. And then if we're trying to figure what MF is going to be half of EF. Okay, so let's keep that in mind. Okay, now they want us to figure out HM, where M is the midpoint of EF. Okay, so what is HM, right? HM basically means that we have to go from H and go all the way to M, okay? So HM means that we have to start at H and end at M. So HM, right? So let's do HM. HM is going to be, let me use this yellow. HM means that we're going to go from H to E, all right? That's why we have this one right there, H to E. And then we're going to go from what? We're going to go from E to M, right? E to M, right? So E to M, right? So we go from H to E, and then we go from E to M. Okay, and so that's good. And so let me erase. So again, we go from H to E. So H to E, then we go from E to M. So H to E, then E to M. Okay, great. And so what is H to E? Well, H to E is going to be what? Well, we don't substitute yet. We just substitute what we just write what EM is first. So EM, we just talked about that before. EM, since M is the midpoint, EM is going to be half of EF. And so that's what we have here. EM is equal to half of EF. Let me just bring HE down. Okay, great. Now, what is HE? Well, HE is Y minus X. That's what HE is. HE is Y minus X. That's what HE is. HE is Y minus X, right? Now, what is EM? EM is half of EF. But what is EF, right? Well, EF, let me erase this part so you can see. EF is actually equal to 6x plus 2y. And so since EM is equal to half of EF, that means that EM is equal to half of 6x plus 2y. All right, so EF, this whole thing is equal to 6x plus 2y. So we substitute and we have EF is equal to 6x plus 2y. So that means that EM is equal to half of 6x plus 2y. Now we have to simplify this expression. So we have to distribute. So we're going to say, okay, well, let's multiply. So we have a half multiplied by 6x, right? A half multiplied by 6x, and that gives us 6x over 2. And we have a half multiplied by 2y, right? Half multiplied by 2y, and that gives us 2y over 2. Let me just bring down the y. Let me just bring down the negative x, okay? And so that's what we have. And so what we're going to do next is we're going to divide. So 6x divided by 2 is 3x, and 2y divided by 2 is simply y. And so we have y minus x plus 3y. So we have y minus x plus 3x plus y. We combine our like terms. And so we have the x's together and the y's together. So the 3x right here and the negative x here. The y right here and this y is here. And so we say 3x minus x is equal to 2x. So 3x minus x is equal to 2x, and y plus y is equal to 2y. So HM is equal to 2x plus 2y. That's what HM is. Next, we have to figure out what GF is. GF, all right? And so if we're going for GF, well, what we're gonna do is we're going to go from G to H, right? Go from G to H, right at G to H. And then we're gonna go from H to E, right? From H to E, right? H to E. Then we're gonna go from E to F, all right? E to F, and that's how we get GF. Now, okay, so what is GH? Well, GH is, remember that GH, what we can do is we can switch the letters, okay? So instead of writing GH, we can write HG, okay? But the penalty of switching the letters is that we add a negative sign. So GH is equal to negative HG. These things are saying the same thing, but we have to put the negative sign if we're changing the letters. So we have GH, and that's equal to HG, but negative HG, because if we switch the letters, the penalty for switching the letters is we have to put a negative sign. We keep HE and we keep EF, and so that's good. And so let's begin. So what is GH? Well, remember that if we notice carefully, we know that HG, right? HG is going in this direction. That's what HG is going in. And so that's 4x. But remember, we're going from a G to H. And so since we're going from G to H, that means that we have to put negative 4x. And that's where the negative 4x come from. And that's the same thing as negative HG, because we're not going from H to G, right? We're going from G to H. And so HG is 4x, but we have to put the negative sign. And the negative sign indicates that we're going in the opposite direction of HG, okay? And so that's why we have the negative sign now, because we're going in the opposite direction of the 4x, okay? So it's gonna be negative 4x. Next, we have HE. So HE, we're going in that direction. So HE is going to be y minus x, and so that's good. And then we have EF, and EF is simply 6x plus 2y. And so we have 6x plus 2y. Okay, now we have our expression. We can simplify now. Okay, so we can simplify now. So let me remove this. And so we're going to simplify this expression. And so what do? Well, we say, okay, well, let's bring all the x's together, and then we're going to bring all the y's together. So we have 4x, we have negative 4x rather, and this is negative 4x. We have a negative x, this is negative x. We have 6x, so we have 6x here. We have y here, this is y. We have 2y here, which is 2y. And so we have a negative 4x minus x plus 6x plus y plus 2y. Next, we say, okay, negative 4x minus x, that gives us negative 5x plus 6x plus y plus 2y. Next, we have negative 5x plus 6x, and negative 5x plus 6x is simply positive 1x. So we have 1x plus y plus 2y. Now, what is y plus 2y? Well, y plus 2y is definitely 3y. So 1x is equal to x, and so we have y plus 2y is equal to 3y. So GF, the vector GF, is equal to x plus 3y. And that's the answer to this question.